It's the e-commerce master plan podcast. Here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello and welcome. Yes, it's another episode of the e-commerce master plan podcast. I'm Chloe Thomas, the creator and host of this award-winning show. And as always, it's my aim in this episode and every episode to help you find ways to improve your e-commerce business. So thank you for tuning in, because I'm really looking forward to helping you with this episode as well. In today's episode, we are exploring the journey of a multi-brand e-commerce business. We're going from what led them to set up their first brand 10 years ago to why they decided, rather than add new products into the existing brand, they decided to create new brands, talking about how to manage multiple brands. We're talking multiple websites, multiple product types, but with a clear piece running through them all. And we are going to touch briefly on buying businesses and get into a lot of other kind of cool stuff around marketing, story, and so forth as well. There's a lot coming up in this one, but it's also one which is just kind of a really lovely story to listen into. Before we get into all that, though, please do check out the sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Klaviyo, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform for brands of all kinds and sizes. Whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out or you're part of a marketing team at a multinational brand, Klaviyo will give you everything you need to create memorable marketing moments, building customer relationships that keep shoppers coming back time and time again. Get started with a free account today. Visit klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Helium 10 is an all-in-one software tool for entrepreneurs to help them start, build and grow a business on Amazon. Helium 10 has all the tools you need to run your business in one place. No more downloading multiple apps or paying for different software. And I have an incredible offer for you. My listeners get 50% off their first month of Helium 10 Platinum when you go to helium10.com and use the code MASTERPLAN when you check out. Don't wait to get 50% off your first month. Go to helium10.com and use the code MASTERPLAN. And now to introduce today's special guest. Trevor Crotts is the CEO and founder at Buddy Brands, a pet products company founded in 2011. They've now become multiple dog brands, which combined have annual sales in the substantial 7 figures. Hello, Trevor.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here. I'm really interested to hear about the story of how you went from one dog brand to multiple dog brands, because we've touched on a little bit of it before we hit record, and it sounds fascinating. But actually, I suppose where it all starts is how you got started in e-commerce. So, what led you to e-commerce?
I think my first little dip my toe in e-commerce was eBay in the early 2000s. I was actually an eBay power seller. So I used to resell not only my own stuff, but other people's stuff, and really got a great understanding from eBay. And I even today, sometimes I recommend people start on eBay. If somebody asks, well, I just don't know how to attack this, but I know I want to try to start with e-commerce. I still feel like eBay, even though I don't dabble with it anymore, I feel like it's a good place to learn. Being able to sell things online, write listings, take photographs, handle customer issues. It's a great proving ground. And so I found myself pretty enamored with it in the beginning, and had a pretty good run on it for a while, for a couple of years there in the early 2000s. That was my first experience with e-commerce, and that's kind of what got me the bug to get started.
It does teach you the fundamentals, doesn't it? The need for a good product, good photography, good content, the crucial importance of keeping the customer happy as well. I mean, there's no better place than eBay to learn that, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay, so was that where Buddy Brands started, or did Buddy Brands, which was your first Buddy brand?
Yeah, so our story started about 10 years ago with a company called Buddy Rest. So at the time, I was actually working in the mattress industry, and what happened is I had a big dog named Buddy. He's a Labradoodle, and so half lab, half poodle. And I got him because growing up, I had a poodle and absolutely loved that dog. And she lived to be 15 or 16 and had a really long life, and we were just really attached. So when I became a young man, I decided to go get my own dog, and I decided that maybe a little toy poodle probably wasn't my speed in my early 20s. And I got a Labradoodle who was a pretty big guy. And, one day at a routine visit to the vet, I was really surprised to discover that he wasn't supposed to live that long. And my vet told me his life expectancy was about 10 years. And I was like, how can that be? He's half poodle. My other poodle lived to be about 15. Well, he told me that, dogs like Buddy were, suffered from painful joint problems. And that was the reason why their lifespan was just so much shorter. So upon doing some more research, I found out that, painful joint problems end big dogs' lives about 4 years earlier than their smaller counterparts.
Wow.
And so, at the time I learned all this, I was working in the mattress industry. And so I had already seen firsthand how the right support system and how a pressure-free support could really help people. And I could see how it helped people with back problems and hip problems. I went to look for something that was a good supportive product that would be a proactive thing for my dog as he aged. There's just nothing out there. There's nothing out there at the time. There's a bunch of egg crate foam beds that claim to be supportive, but that's the same stuff that you use in shipping, not really in mattresses. And so, out of the need, and I saw an opportunity to create a business and do something for him and all the other dogs that were destined to suffer that fate. And we started with Buddy Rest, and that's really what got us going.
I had wondered where Buddy came from, the name across everything, and yeah, I can really see how I find it fascinating how many businesses start because the owner finds a problem, and then it's like, well, the only way to fix it is to do it myself. So how did you go about growing Buddy Rest, and how long was that your solo brand?
So the first several years we were just doing Buddy Rest, and I like to tell about how we really started because we weren't really sure if this was a business or not. We hired a freelancer and had them build us a website, and it was just a mess. We made one prototype product and we took it to a local pet fair here, and when I say it was a mess, it was a literal mess. We joke about it now. We had a big banner behind us with our website. Well, the website was down. It wasn't working. Our freelancer didn't get it up in time, and he wasn't responding to our messages. And people were wanting to know how much these cost and where can I buy them, and we didn't have any to sell. And so, we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, but really what we got from that pet fair, even though we didn't get necessarily a bunch of sales because we didn't have anything to sell, but what we did get was validation. Mm-hmm. Dog people were interested in this product. They're interested in a better support system for the health of your animal. So that gave us the validation to keep going. And so from there, we actually made some products. We actually got our website going. And I think 2 weeks after that, we made our first sale online, and things kind of grew organically from there. And so we bootstrapped it in the beginning, and we made another sale, then another sale, and another sale. And then we went to a pet industry trade show and made some connections with some of the bigger big box stores and catalog companies and whatnot. And it just kind of exploded from there.
And as someone who was an eBay specialist, why did you decide to go own site rather than eBay in the first instance?
To be fair, I think anybody who spends, I hope eBay is not a sponsor of your show, but anybody who spends more than a couple of years dealing with eBay has probably had enough of eBay. There's just so many things that you can't control, and with PayPal and whatnot. And so, owning the customer relationship, building out the own brand, that was super important for us. And I think I think by the time I was done with eBay several years before I launched this company, I was done with eBay, if you know what I mean. But, when it comes to launching the company, we weren't necessarily designed to be an e-commerce brand. We were focused on being in pet stores around the United States and eventually around the world. And so we put a lot of effort into being in brick and mortar retailers. We spent the first couple of years really fighting that battle, and we got 600-700 stores that picked up our products. The problem that we found was that we could push them into the stores, we couldn't pull them through. So we would get the order, and the shop owner would really love the product, but we wouldn't get the reorder because the salespeople in the store weren't able to really articulate and educate the customer into the product. So what you have is an expensive dog bed that no one is there to build the value of. And so after several years of dealing with that, we switched our focus to be more direct to consumer and focus on online and online partnerships. And that really was pivotal for us. And obviously, 10 years later, it was obviously the right move, especially after what happened last year.
When you were saying about why you came to create the product, it was like, right, I totally get why you'd need this, but I wouldn't get it if there wasn't that level of explanation.
Right.
And when you said about the egg crate dog bed, that's clearly a very cheap product. And to do it properly, if you're comparative to a human mattress, it's not going to be a very cheap product. So I guess nowadays, if you were launching it, say, right, we need a really good Facebook video ad and we need, content and then a story and all this kind of stuff. But 10 years ago, that just wasn't something that was normal in the e-commerce space.
Yeah, things have changed a lot. And going in the original idea that we needed to educate people into the product, that's something I see as a challenge for brands all over the world. If you're a cost leader, that's kind of a different scenario, but only the big dogs are really playing in that space. And if you're trying to be a cost leader against the big dogs that have all the advantages, that makes it a really tough sledding for you. And so going the other route with differentiation and having a higher dollar product and having something that really brings tremendous value is, I think, the best path to go. But it also means that there's a huge educational component that you have to be able to achieve. And we just found it was easier to educate people with that, with videos and content online versus relying on some part-time, 16-year-old employee. And that's really where we made that pivot, and we were happy that we did. But even after all that growth, a couple of years in, we found ourselves with a really cool business, but it was still a very small business. It was definitely in a niche. And what we found was we wanted to expand into other channels and expand into grab more market from the industry itself. The pet industry is a fantastic place to be, but not all dog people are the same. And that's just why we've come out with multiple brands, either through a build or a buy strategy where we acquired them. And now we are Buddy Brands, which is a collection of products that really go after different target demographics. So for example, the same people that buy tactical dog gear from our Tough Pup brand is not necessarily the same customer that's going to resonate on our Natural Doggy brand. And so this day and age, it's super important that your messaging is direct and you're not trying to be something for everybody, but you're being what you need for who you need it for. And that's really what we've done.
Looking backwards, it's really obvious that these different niches or niches need to be tackled with different websites because they have a slightly different product range, different products, different messaging to get out there. But back when you're sat there with Buddy Rest going, well, we like being in the pet industry, we like what we've done, but we can only get so big with dog beds for large dogs that have joint issues. How easy a decision was it to go, right, we're going to launch another brand, another website versus, well, let's just create dog beds for small dogs?
Right. I got a lot of pushback on it because at the time, I was a little bit younger. I was more naive than I am today. And I really, I was casting a big vision for what I was trying to accomplish. And oftentimes we have a challenge for those crazy people like us that are entrepreneurs with, people think that we have shiny object syndrome, which is, that this is the newest, coolest thing. I got to go after that, or I want to do this, I want to do that. I just oftentimes just thought that people just did not understand how big I was trying to go and big I was trying to think, and they just didn't get it. In retrospect, though, because I had a lot of pushback that why don't you just do that under Buddy Rest, and why don't you sell, CBD supplements? CBD wasn't around back then, but supplements and consumables and dog collars and leashes, sell that under the Buddy Rest name. You've already got some brand equity there. You've already got a customer base. And I just didn't think it fit well, and it just didn't reconcile for me. We tried to figure out how to split it all up, and it just didn't work. And so I thought that really the only way forward was to capture more market share, was to build out these brands, or in two different cases, acquire these brands that allowed us to really go after that market where the messaging was right on point and it resonated with the target audience. And I think that was the right move in retrospect. What you find out, though, when you go and you cast such a broad vision is that you have to kind of narrow it in as time goes. You've got to follow the money, find the customer, and really reiterate and figure out what works. And that's why, over the years, I think we've had 7 brands, and now we really focus on 4 or 5 of them. Because the other one's just, you can't push 6 boulders up a mountain, right? Or 7 boulders up a mountain. Yeah. And so you've only got so much horsepower to put down onto the road. And this is why we're a little bit more niched up than we used to be.
But then when you've got 7 boulders to choose from, you can choose the best ones to push up the hill. Whereas if you've only got 1 boulder, then you're kind of stuck with that boulder. To take the boulder analogy way too far. So, Trevor, which was the second brand, and how did you come up with the product idea for that one? Because that must have been a bit of a different scenario than the vet giving you some bad news.
Yeah. So the second brand we started was Pup IQ, which was designed to be all about intelligent products for pets. And so, the idea is that we could create some really cool products that maybe not necessarily fit under the Buddy Rest line. So we came out with a lot of we have a really cool magnetic prismatic collar. So we have a dog collar that's easier to get on and take off, but it still is very tough. It can hold up to 700 pounds of force. Especially important if you have older parents, for example, like I do, where their hands maybe don't work as well as they used to, and it really makes it easy to take the collar on and off. So you can see like those prismatic collars. But really, what we were looking to do is how can we sprinkle the differentiation that we sprinkled on dog beds? How can we find other products where we can make them a premium product and make them deliver more value? And so that's why we started doing dog collars with Pup IQ. And then from there, we made an acquisition where we bought a dog safety company called Pet Envy. And that was all about reflective dog gear, gear that keeps dogs safe. And then Tough Pup came after that, which was kind of close to my heart, it was a man brand, which is it's all about dogs and trucks and tactical gear, overbuilt. It's a lot of like working dogs, military dogs, police dogs, that kind of thing. And then recently, a couple of years back, we ended up buying a platform called Sit Stay, which is a e-commerce company that's been around since 1995. So just to put that in perspective, that was 10 years before YouTube came out. And in fact, all of our marketers on staff that work on it are much younger than the website itself. But with that, we also spun out our Natural Doggy brand. And that's really where the incarnation is who we are today as Buddy brands. Now, the continuity that ties everything together, you can see that we have all these different things that go after different approaches, and we have consumables. We're really big into CBD. But ultimately, what ties it all together is that all of our products are solution-based. That's where I come from, and that's where my background is right? We're solving real problems for pet people. And so we're not the ones that create the cool bow ties that go on your dog's collar. We're not the ones that make funny outfits for your dog to wear. That's just not what we do. We focus on real problems, and by that I mean allergies, anxiety, pain, mobility, these types of things that really are problems for dogs and their quality of life. And that's really the continuity that goes through all of it, is that it's all about solving these problems, whether it be CBD, the best premium CBD oil derived from Colorado hemp, whether it be dog treats that really help with wild Alaskan salmon oil or coconut oil, or little things like how does an older dog get in and out of a bed? We invented a mobility layer that actually gave memory foam a little more spring, so it let the older dogs get up in and out easier. So all these things are just like little solution-based things that really we focus in on. So although to the layman, it might look like we're doing a lot of different things, but we are doing a lot of different things, but they're all with the same mission of really helping animals live a better quality of life, keeping your pet happy and healthy.
And we talked a little bit about the boulders metaphor earlier. I'm going to kind of hold on to that metaphor again for probably longer than I should, because I think this kind of works. You want to go back
to the boulders? I'm all in. Let's go.
We're going with the boulders. So you've got the 7 boulders, 4 of which you're actively pushing up the hill at the moment. Is it like a cookie cutter boulder pushing method that you've got, mixing metaphors terribly here? Or do you take a different marketing approach with each of those to grow them? Or is it very much the same approach your team takes?
I think there's a lot of crossover, obviously, and there's a lot of kind of standardized practices these days that every brand needs to be doing. But no, the answer is it's a diverse approach, and it depends on what works, right? So with all of our product development, and I do kind of hang my hat at the end of the day. I'm more of a marketer and a salesperson and a product developer than let's say a bean counting CEO or founder. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a big picture guy, and so. When it comes to product development, when it comes to all of these different things, you really need to take an approach about solving a problem and then kind of reverse engineering it from there. And sometimes, although there's a lot of crossover and there's a lot of ability for us to leverage other assets that we have in play, it's not always what works on one is not always what works on another. And what worked yesterday doesn't always what works today. So it's like, I look at it as that, to bring another analogy into the equation, I look at it as that success is rented. It's not something that you own, and every single day you've got to pay rent on your success. And so that means you got to be open to trying new things, and you got to be open to finding new ways up that mountain with the boulder. And sometimes, and I trust me that we have absolutely failed a lot. And so I'm not here to give anybody advice on what to do. I'm here to share my experience, and because I have made a lot of mistakes along the way, especially when it comes to manufacturing and figuring things out and figuring out how to work it all. But it's something that we use Kaizen principles, continuous improvement, reiterate, be better tomorrow than you were today. And slow progress, just that in and out of doing the right things every single day starts to accumulate and compound. And that's really where we've, I think, found the success we have today.
I could not agree with you more on the constant reiteration side of things there. But I want to kind of tackle that, how you approach the multiple brands by another angle, because I'm trying to ask you some questions that will hopefully be the ones the audience are shouting at whatever it is they're listening on right now. And it strikes me that when I look, so my career started off in a multi-brand business and multiple retailers, and we had certain teams that were common across all of them, and we had certain teams who were unique. So the marketing team was unique to each brand, customer services worked on everything, finance worked on everything. So maybe that's why I find it so fascinating when there's a multi-brand business. It's like, do you have like a Facebook ads team who work across everything, and do you have someone who kind of is the owner of each brand? So how have you approached the kind of the labor division, I suppose, which then very closely to my mind links to the ownership angle?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great question. For us, we're not a giant company, so we don't have large teams. I think our headcount's around 20 right now. And keep in mind, we've got a lot of production people and warehouse people. So we're a small team, and when I say that, it's because almost every product that we sell, we make here in the United States, and we have one of the only cut and sew facilities left in the States. So not only do we make products for us, but we have a good part of our business, and it's a pretty good chunk. We actually make products for other companies now, and so we make products for Wayfair and Gunner Kennel Company and CC Animal Health and a lot of other companies that are looking for a solution-based approach. We can use kind of the experience we have and create custom products for them. But as far as from a team standpoint goes, yeah, we do have some brand managers. We think that that's kind of the way it goes. We work on more of a project management level. So we have people that have different levels of expertise. And then we supplement the team with some really good agency partners. And I say really good because I've dealt, and I know you've got some experience with agencies, and the vast majority of agencies overpromise, underdeliver. And are here today and gone tomorrow, and it's all about moving the needle for people. And now that I actually own an agency too, I feel like I'm more free to talk trash about it. But the fact is that most agencies just don't deliver, and I understand, and I have that perspective, and I've hired and fired so many of them that there is a couple that have really proven themselves to us. And so I work with an SEO agency, a Facebook ads person. And some of the skill set that we don't have in-house, we definitely supplement with some great people.
It does take a while to find the right agency. And it's, back when I had an agency, I was just, how are they making so much money when they do such a terrible job? Yeah. Or appear to be making so much money in some cases.
No, but they make some money, but it's not very sustainable, right? At the end of the day, you got to move the needle for the client.
Exactly. Indeed you do. And I think, Trevor, we could possibly have quite a long rant about agencies, but I think we'll try and avoid doing that today. Right, we're going to move into top tips very shortly. But before we do that, I want to ask you one last question about your journey, which is, if anyone out there's listening and they're thinking, yes, we need to go on a very similar journey to Trevor. We've got that core guiding principle of everything we do. We've got maybe a couple of product ideas, or we've got one site, and we're having that deliberation of, do we squeeze this product into our existing brand, or do we do something new? What's the kind of key advice you give everyone who's planning on following your road?
Well, if you're following my road, you're going to take a lot longer than you really need to, because that is not one straight path up the mountain. It is up and down, around, circling back around, lost, wandering around in the desert for a little while, finding the mountain again. So, I mean, definitely don't follow my path. But if you are looking to learn from some of the experience that I have to share, I would say that, looking for product market fit and where that alignment is probably the most critical thing. Oftentimes people try to fit things in that don't really work. And I've got what I think to be lots of great ideas, whether they are or not, has yet to be proven. But I don't actually pursue any of them unless they're a good fit with something that I already have going on. Because at the end of the day, we all have 24 hours in the day. And so you have to be really careful with how you spend that. And going back to entrepreneurs in general, we do tend to have a little bit of that shiny object syndrome. We're always looking for that, what's around the corner and what's next and what's coming and how can I make this successful? And I've got this great idea that would disrupt this. But you have to kind of look at what pieces you have in front of you and what makes the most sense and how those pieces can work. And so at this point, and 10 years into my journey, I don't pursue any idea that I don't have some existing leverage or a strategic advantage with. And so I've got some ideas a couple big ones that I'd like to pursue down the road that I think might be game changing for the world. But I just don't want to start from zero, and I don't have what I need for there. So I would take a really close look at what your assets are in front of you and what your brand is about and who's about, and see if you can make it natural and intuitive and organic if you're trying to create a new product line. And if it doesn't fit in there naturally and organic and intuitively, then it shouldn't exist in that product space. I think you should probably put that out on its own, or find a way to actually maybe license it, or find a way to put it out to where it has its own branding that's resonating with the customer. Everything we do, I feel personally, should be very natural, organic, and intuitive. It should all be about user experience. And it's really easy to find when something just doesn't fit. So if it doesn't feel like it fits, then it doesn't fit.
E-commerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Success in 2021 means building stronger relationships with your customers. Last year saw a lot of consumers switching to buy online, leading to surges in new customer acquisition. So how are you planning on turning your new first-time buyers into profitable repeat customers? Well, that's what Klaviyo is for. Klaviyo helps businesses create memorable marketing moments through email, SMS, and personalized website experiences. And that is what creates repeat purchases. That's why Klaviyo, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform, is used by over 50,000 e-commerce brands around the world. Get started with your free account today. Visit klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's klaviyo.com/masterplan. Helium 10 is an all-in-one software tool for entrepreneurs to help them start, build and grow a business on Amazon. Whether you're just starting or are several years into e-commerce, it's a must-have tool for your business. And I have an incredible offer for you. My listeners get 50% off their first month of Helium 10 Platinum when you go to helium10.com and use the code MASTERPLAN when you check out. Don't wait. To get 50% off your first month, go to helium10.com now and use code MASTERPLAN.
It's time for the top tips round.
Okay, after that outstanding advice, Trevor, we're going to take you into the top tips now. And I love this section because it gives me and our listeners some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So, Trevor, you ready for these?
Sure.
The book top tip. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
Can I go with a couple real quick?
You can have a couple, yeah.
Okay, appreciate that leeway. One of my favorite books is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He's an FBI negotiator, super entertaining. Whether you read it or listen to it on Audible, it will keep you glued to it, but it talks about how to negotiate pretty much everything in life. And I think you'll find that incredibly valuable. So that's Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. A book I actually just read that a lot of people have referred to me that I really like is The Alchemist. I read The Alchemist. I forget who the author is. But The Alchemist I read a couple weeks ago, and it talks about finding your personal journey, your personal legend, not settling for less. The shepherd had a good thing going. He was a successful shepherd. He met this baker's daughter. This is obviously takes place a ways back, but the baker's daughter. He could have had a really nice, happy life if he was content with that. But something inside of him was driving him to pursue his personal legend and to find that treasure at the end. And that to me really resonated with me, because I look around and I see oftentimes people settle, whether that be in every aspect of life. And I just feel like, we don't know if we, maybe some people can claim to know, but we don't know if we have one shot at this thing or not. And so I want to live the most epic life that has the biggest impact. And it's really a life of significance and meaning. And that's what The Alchemist really kind of helps illustrate. So I'll just go with those two for now.
I like that. One practical book and one super practical big picture book as well, because there's nothing impractical about The Alchemist. Okay, the traffic top tip. Which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
Google AdWords. I've built my business on Google AdWords. I think that oftentimes people are looking, so they call Facebook the traffic store, but the difference is that if you have a small item that's, able to be bought without a lot of education, or maybe can be an impulse buy, I think social media is a fantastic option. And for some of our products, it works really well. But for some of our more expensive products, like our dog beds that, really require an educational piece, Google AdWords really is where it's at. And the reason I say that is oftentimes as marketers, I don't think we pay enough attention to the intent. So we say, oh, we've got all this great traffic, and I've got sites that get amazing traffic, but it's all top of the funnel, non-intentional traffic. What we're looking for is who is wanting to buy right now, today, who's looking to shop. And I think that nothing gets better than Google AdWords when it comes to buying intent.
I love a Google Ads recommendation. Okay, the tool top tip. Maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
I use a note-taking platform called Rome Research, which, gosh, I got to stop giving out tools. I need some affiliate links or something. We keep talking about what we need to monetize this thing. The Rome Research is really cool for entrepreneurial brains, because it's about association versus compartmentalizing notes. So oftentimes when you're writing notes, you find yourself, making this note fit into this category, this note fit into this category. It naturally associates different frames of thought. And so I can have a page of notes, one that's talking about, what we need to do in our morning staff meeting, another that's talking about what Facebook ads need to be tweaked on. And I can just put that all on one page and it automatically integrates. So Rome Research is really cool. I like Monday as a project management platform. I know it's one of the more basic ones out there. But for what we need from a project management standpoint to keep everybody connected, it's that we kind of like the basic. And then from a marketing tool, I'm a big fan. Regardless of how you say it, whether it's Klaviyo or Klaviyo, I've heard it multiple different ways. But the ability to segment your audience and really build amazing relationships at scale is possible with that particular app. And I've used MailChimp and Constant Contact and a lot of different things over the years, and I'm really pleased with how Klaviyo is able to deliver the segmentation and then deliver the messaging on top of that.
I'm glad you said that, because whilst eBay are not a sponsor of this podcast, Klaviyo are. So,
there you go.
So we're keeping the sponsors happy today.
At least we're going to keep that sponsorship in line, at least.
Yeah, We'll keep the Klaviyo team on our side. That would be good. Okay, the growth top tip then. If you met someone today who's focused on growing their e-commerce business from 100 orders per month to 1,000, what would be your number one tip for them?
One tip to take you from 100 orders to 1,000 orders. You know what? It's more of a philosophy than a tip, but it would be finding out what works and then quadrupling down on that, right? So oftentimes we take this omni-channel, marketing approach, and I think that's important. But really finding out what works and amplifying, accelerating, and like really diving into why it's working, what it's working, I think that's incredibly powerful when it comes to scaling the business. And if I could throw in a bonus tip for anybody out there, this is kind of a public service announcement I like to share is don't be a perfectionist. Done beats perfect every time. Every single time, done beats perfect. So while you're working on making sure that this is perfect, or this product launch is perfect, or this image looks perfect, there's someone else that's just getting things done and grabbing market share and making sales. So move fast, be agile. The way I always like to talk about our company is that it might actually mean something, this metaphor, to you guys, but it's the British versus the Spanish Armada, right? So we're outgunned. There's all these big giant, this flotilla of giant galleons coming to take what's ours. What's our options? We've got to be faster. We've got to be in and out. We've got to pick our spots. And I think that's really, really what is the tactical advantage we have as a smaller, more agile company.
I love it, Trevor. So much good advice. Look, could you please let everybody know where they can find Buddy Brands if they want to go and check you out, please?
Sure. Yeah. So you can find Buddy Rest at buddyrest.com. That's BUDDYREST.com. You can find Natural Doggy, which is the best, most natural products that really help your dog be happy and healthy. That's Natural Doggy, DOGGIE.com. You can find Tough Pup at toughpup.com. And then Pup IQ is PUP-IQ.com. You can find if you have a product idea or you want to talk about how we can maybe help bring your idea to life with our manufacturing, you can go to buddybrands.pet. You can find me a lot of the time working on the agency side. If you need help with marketing, it's compelcommerce.com. And then you can find me on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn and I spend a lot of my time on Clubhouse. I absolutely love Clubhouse. If you're not on Clubhouse, you can jump on there and find me. And my tag is Trevor-1, Trevor number 1.
Oh, nice Clubhouse tag. I like that. And Trevor, you mentioned your agency briefly there, and we referred to it earlier, and I know it's all still user experience. So do you want to tell us just a little bit more about the agency and what you get up to there? Because I think some of the listeners might find it interesting.
Yeah, sure. With Compel Commerce, we help brands really bridge the gap between shopping at home and shopping in a store. We do this, by making sure that your e-commerce strategy is on point, making sure that you're driving traffic the right way, making sure that you have the basic things that you need in order to be successful as an e-commerce company. And then we also really focus on creating amazing user experiences and showing people, whether it be 3D augmented reality experiences, using 3D modeling to create virtual product photography, or even using 3D modeling to create virtual product videos that really are, top of the line, amazing stuff that gives you that kind of high end feel like an Apple does on their commercials, that kind of thing. It's very possible, very accessible, and that's where we spend a lot of our time.
Nice. And if people want to find out more, where do they head to for Compel?
Compelcommerce.com. And like I said, I love connecting with people. And I'm an e-commerce person. I love to connect with people like you and other e-commerce people as well. So if you want to reach me, you know how to find me now. Definitely find me on LinkedIn. Happy to have a conversation with anyone.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Trevor. You have shared so much insight and so many great tips today. I really thank you for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
It's been my pleasure, and I really appreciate you having me on. I look forward to coming back sometime in the future.
Sounds like a plan to me. Cheers, Trevor. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Chloe.
Lots of lovely insight there from Trevor, both on the kind of that big picture, how you go about building these brands, how you make those big fundamental decisions on your business, right down to some more tactical stuff in there as well. You can get your hands on the notes from today's show, including the top tips and links to the different things we mentioned, by heading over to ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast. There you can also add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the many other things I share to help you improve your business. Thank you so much for tuning into this and every episode of the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. As you probably know by now, if you've listened to a few of these, the whole reason I'm doing this, the whole reason I'm bringing you a new interview every week is because I want to inspire and help as many e-commerce business owners as possible to create successful, thriving businesses, the ones that hit the objectives that you have for your life and for your business. So I would love to help some more people. So if you know some other e-commerce business owners who I can help by getting them to listen to the show, then please do spread the word. For now, though, I hope you have a great week. And as Trevor was mentioning this multiple times today in the How to Do It All, make sure you keep optimizing, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.